It wasn't my dream to go to college, but it's where I ended up. To be honest, I'm 2 years in and I still don't know what I want to do. I hoped college would clear that up, but in some ways, it just made me more confused. Because of this, I've not been doing well. I don't pay attention, I forget to do the work, and sometimes I simply just don't show up. However, this doesn't mean I've not been busy. I play games, a lot. Gaming is more popular than it's ever been, and it's pretty much the only thing I've stuck to throughout my life. To most, this is a burnout thing to do. We all know the cliche of the loser who plays games all night and sleeps all day. But from what I've seen, there are many avenues to get a job in this field. A lot of it involves education or years of coding knowledge, both of which I don't have. But there are other ways to make a living, and it was one of these paths which has led me to where I am today. I decided to take up streaming. It's simple. You play games live, people watch, and if they like you, they donate. It's a simple process. However, as I found out quickly, not an easy one. There are hundreds, if not thousands of streamers. I found it very hard to get a foothold, as people were more interested in watching the more established streamers, with their expensive face cam cameras and high-end setups. No one wanted to watch a college student play retro games on an emulator, cautious to not be too loud due to hard studying neighbors. I needed a niche, and I found one. I was browsing the popular streams, seeing what people were interested to watch, and to see if I could hop on the bandwagon, when I saw an immensely popular stream. It was a 24-hour live stream where, over the course of a week, people would speedrun games for charity. I was fascinated and lost a lot of sleep in awe of what they were doing. You'd think running a game would just be playing it fast, but there's so much more to it. Often they would use glitches to do amazing things to skip major chunks of the game. Sometimes a game would be run so efficiently that what would be a 10-hour game would be finished in a matter of minutes. Often the more popular titles were retro games too, games I almost exclusively played. I set to it, and soon I was on the forums, chatting with other runners, finding posts written by runners on all the tricks of the games I loved, and soon I was streaming myself, slowly learning the process. It was great. Though I wasn't the best, not by a long shot, people still tuned in to watch me learn. It's such a cathartic thing to watch, and this built the platform for me to grow. I soon got so obsessed that it started to bleed over to my real life. I was on the phone with my mom, getting an earful about my awful performance at college. But all I could imagine was wishing there was a skip dialogue option in real life. I started fine-tuning my daily rituals to make better efficiency of my time. I even started imagining gaming interfaces in real life. Eating an apple? +2 to hunger, eating time 1 minute. Coffee? +5 energy, drink time 5 minutes. In hindsight, it was getting unhealthy. It was a culmination of sleepless nights, unhealthy obsession with speedrunning, and imagining things in the real world that made me do what I did. As usual, I was running late to college. It was raining. However, I never had an umbrella, so the rain kept getting in my eyes. Soon, I was running to the front of the building, occasionally glimpsing the open door up the steps through rain-attacked eyes. As I scrambled up the steps, my foot slipped. My foot didn't catch the step right, and soon it was under me. However, when I opened my eyes, I was fine, and my foot was on the step. I looked at my shin, which I felt should have been scraped up, and there wasn't a mark. I should have just counted my blessings and moved on. However, I distinctly felt my leg shoot down. I lifted my foot and inspected the step. It was hard to see with the rain cascading down, but something was off. So I spent the next few minutes looking it over. From what I concluded, the edge of the step wasn't fully connected. The cornering had the smallest gap, very hard to make out, especially in the heavy weather conditions. But between that microscopic gap, something was off. It moved differently than the rest of the floor when I moved my head. I started stamping on it over and over, seeing what would happen. And again, after some time, I felt my foot fall through. My body jolted like I'd just woken from a fallen dream, and my heart skipped a bit. However, when I opened my eyes, my foot was on the step, and my leg was fine. Still in my speedrunning mindset, I thought to myself, am I clipping through this step? And if so, can I go all the way through? If there's a common mindset in the speedrunning community, is that you have to try everything. Everything. I hobbled back up the path and took a flying run up. Soon I was running full pelt and jumped feet first into the step. What I felt was unnatural. It was akin to jumping into a deep pool of water at an incredible speed. I was under the ground, everything around me a dark void. I looked up and watched my body fumble violently into the building. Suddenly, my breathing stopped. My air exited my body and my eyes closed. When I opened them, I was back in my body, in the building, very winded. I slowly got back up and shook off the pain. I was now inside, but something felt off. There was an air of stillness to the hallway. Where I was overwhelmed by the sound of rain was now an eerie silence. Behind me, the door was closed, something which I never did. I pulled the door open, only for my eyes and ears to be assaulted by a strange scene. Though I could not see rain, I could hear a heavy, constant sound, much akin to white noise on full volume. After I winced from that, I then took in the sight. The geographical layout was the same, but so many things just seemed off. Colours felt more dry and flat. What was once a red brick wall on the campus opposite the building I was in was now a smooth, blurry texture. The grassy field was now a green, untextured mess. And there were no signs of people, despite the campus being sparsely populated only moments ago. Despite the protests of my ears, I wanted to see more. I stepped forward to exit the building, but my face hit hard against something and my vision was blocked. After rubbing my nose, wincing in pain, I looked up to see the door, now closed. Confused, I pulled it open again, to be assaulted by the sound once more. I stepped forward, more cautiously this time. However, I met the same fate and bounced back, looking at the now shut door. Panic started to set in. A claustrophobic feeling was welling inside me from the idea of being trapped. I took a few deep breaths and decided to explore the building instead. The inside wasn't much better than the outside. What was once an intrinsically tarred floor was now what I can only describe as a mess of polygons. Posters advertising various college activities were now blank, paper-coloured rectangles. The doors looked painted onto the wall, and when I pulled on the sticking-out lump of what was supposed to be a doorknob, they didn't budge. The panic from before came back in full force, and I curled up into a ball, hyperventilating until I passed out. When I came to, there was a brief moment of reprise, a glimmer of hope that it was all a dream, and I simply fell asleep in class from sleep deprivation. But when my eyes struggled to focus on the wall in front of me after waking, and never truly focusing, I realized I was staring at the untextured mess of the world I was now in. After a few deep breaths, I got to looking around again, looking for something I may have missed. I searched over and over for what felt like hours, each time coming to the same conclusion. I was stuck. It got worse when I started thinking in game terms. In speedrunning a game, if your game crashed, you hard-locked your game. If your game was in a state where you could still move, but you were stuck in an area with no way out, you soft-locked your game. Once this happened, you had to either reset your game or die. And I fervently tried denying the fact that I may have soft-locked my life. But then an epiphany hit me. I got into this mess by thinking like a gamer, and I wasn't thinking like a gamer to get out. Often, when you break a game to clip around the map, you often leave the game in a state where you can do it again. I just needed to find that way out. I did what quality assurance testers do to find bugs in games. I jumped into anything and everything. It took hours, and it hurt the whole time. I jumped into wall after wall. I shoulder barged each door I could find. I made my way around the ground floor. When that didn't work, I made my way up and up until I was on the second floor. I was beginning to give up hope until I tackled into the pinboard for club posters. My arm slipped through a point where the corner of the crooked poster met another. This was my out. I took a few steps back and ran into it as hard as I could. When I opened my eyes, I was falling from quite a height. I met the floor with a hard thump, which took the wind out of me. When I doubled over, I saw where I was. I was back outside. Things were a bit clearer now. No longer was the grass just a green mush, and the rain could be seen again. However, it wasn't complete. Like, I still wasn't loaded in properly. Upon closer inspection, the grass was still the garbled mess, but now with a few patches of grass rendered in. I could see the windows on buildings, however, they weren't transparent, and if I focused enough, I could see the rain was almost like it was 2D sprites and passing through me. There were people here now, but not like I expected at all. It was hard to distinguish who was who. Everyone was more like a blank, rendered shape of a person, their voices hard to pick up. I tried grabbing someone, but passed right through them. I couldn't communicate with them either. I could touch anything that didn't move, just not people. Everything was surreal. There were sights I'd seen which I couldn't even comprehend. Some textures moved differently to how my head was moving, causing me to close my eyes in pain and avoid looking in that direction. I discovered something peculiar after a few hours of screaming at whoever I could find. I was following people and making constant noise, hoping something would go through. I followed one particular person for ages until they pulled out their phone. I faintly heard him talking to what I presume was his mother. I was screaming up and down about nonsense until he stopped, which made me stop. I listened intently until I heard something along the lines of, "Oh, it stopped. Okay, cool, must have just been interference," then watched them walk off. From this, I pieced together I can possibly communicate with technology in limited ways. This has caused me to find random computers and try operate them. I say try because I can't see what's on screen, and I can't see the letters on the keyboard, making me rely on touch typing. I've been like this for the better part of a year now. and I've been typing out variations of my circumstance anytime I can. Who knows how many times I've typed everything out on a login screen or onto a computer's desktop or something inane like that. But one of these has to work. One of these has to make it onto the right place and find the right person. Someone, anyone who can help me. I can't starve. I can't die. I'm stuck like this. And I need help.